senior pastor of the Vision International Chaparral there in Donggucheon. He was born in Korea in Chuncheon, and he spent some time in Korea and then went to the U.S. and grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He went to the Art Institute in Chicago, and following that he came back to Korea and has been doing missionary work ever since. He's married, he has a family, and now as principal of the M.A.C.K Christian Academy, which he started in '99, that has grown from 9 students to over 100 students with over a dozen nationalities. So he's going to talk more about his experience as a principal with the school and possibly in terms of raising his own children here as well. So please welcome.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to talk about my family and in the question time, and we'd like to talk about school. I have 2 kids, 17 and 14. I'm half black, half Korean, and I grew up in Korea until I was 12. I went to the States and came back as a missionary. And I'm married to a Korean, beautiful lady. And the kids, they were born here, but they have dual citizenship. I'm an American citizen, so we provided a dual citizenship for them. But again, when they become 18, they have to choose one, and it'll be up to them. And my daughter has to choose soon. Maybe by end of this year, that she will become American citizen or Korean citizen. And my son, who's 14, and he's the one we really have to choose because the army issue will come up. And so, I think every parents have to make their own decision with resources you have, the environments that you have, and that's what my wife and I have been doing. We decided to send my daughter and my son to the States when they were in 2nd grade and 3rd grade to the States to go to school in the States for 2 years, and they were staying with my mom in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And they came back, and I also decided after middle school to send my daughter to the U.S. to go to high school. And I'm going to do the same thing with my son. So he's going in September, actually end of August. He'll be going to the States to attend school in the States. My wife and I have decided to do that because after talking with my kids, they like to be in an environment of English speaking. Because they went to my school, M.A.C.K Christian Academy. We are all English speaking school. They never went to Korean school, so sending them to a Korean school was never in our mind. We always decided that we were going to educate them in English, but also we do value the Korean language, so they've been studying like after school programs, the weekend, and they do go to academies, and we did all that. So they are bilingual, and they are very fluent in both language, and we have decided to do that. But sending them to a Korean school was never in my mind, with my wife also. So we have decided to do that early on when they were like 3 or 4. But my son did go to Korean kindergarten for 1 year, and after that it was all English-speaking school. Again, I decided to send my son to the state for high school because they're thinking of going to college in the States, but they could come back and do their work here. Because I feel that as a parent, they will have more opportunity if they do graduate from universities in the States. They could always come back to Korea and do work here also, rather than just going to a college in Korea. So that's what we have been doing, and I do listen to my kids. I do ask for their advice, what they, I do guide them. And so I think as a mom and dad with the children, we do have to discuss a lot of conversation about identity, about education. I think education issue was the hardest thing. Where will we send them? But I'm very lucky because I started at school. But as the parents mentioned, the issue of sending your children to international school is very expensive. But I was very lucky to have a school where my children can go free. But they are in the state, they do pay a little bit, but they're American citizens, so it's not that expensive. They're in a homestay and they're going to school. But we do have a high school that we have a joint educational program, and that's where they are in now. Identity issues. I'm half black, half Korean, but my kids are 1/4 black and 3/4 Korean. So it's hard to see a black in them. But I always tell my kids that you do have black in you, African American in you, and you need to get to know your culture. And I do talk with my kids about that, and they know that since they were 2 or 3. I told them since they were very young, and they know, and they have met. My father passed away, but they met my father, who's black, and and the 2 years they were in the States, when they were second grade and third grade, they were in predominantly like 60–70% African American students. So they were in the environment of a lot of black students. So they are used to all that. But it was kind of strange though. My daughter's best friend was white though, but my son's best friends were all black. Even though he looks, actually my daughter looks a little bit darker than my son. But my son, his friends were all black. But they went to a Korean church. I was here, they went to a Korean church with my mom. But they had a little bit of a hard time adjusting to it. So it was kind of strange for me to hear that, because they look so Korean. But in the States, they had a hard time adjusting to a Korean culture. But they had more easy time adjusting to a black culture. So I was kind of proud of that, that they need to know all the cultures. And let's see. Growing up, actually my kids have been, I protected my kids a lot. I came to Korea as a missionary to work with Amerasians. So we used to raise kids in my house. So they always had, many different kinds of kids, and they went to my school. So I think they always have been kind of, nurtured and be protected from other Korean cultures. So my kids' experience, probably better off than a gentleman next to me. Kids are in the Korean environment, have to go through all that, a difficult time, just facing, have to go to Korean school maybe. But my kids never went through that, even though they have, many Korean friends. So that's a little different. There's a lot of questions that's geared towards me. I think I would talk about that later on. But again, and those who are married already, or those who are thinking of getting married to a Korean lady or multicultural, trying to have a multicultural family, I think just talking with your spouse and just really talking, about the future of your kid. Where are you going to raise them? What kind of environment will it be? And Seoul is so different from Dongducheon. I'm from Dongducheon. It's a really different culture. There are many, international families here in Seoul, in Korea. Dongducheon, I'm kind of lucky too, because we do have military base here. Many Americans are there. But what if you are from down south, where there are no foreigners? It's a difficult environment to raise. But many of the multicultural families do raise their kids in rural areas, away from city. So it is a difficult. So I think you really have to talk with your spouse about how they are going to, educate our kids. Are we going to send them to a Korean school? Are we going to send them to an international school? If we do send them to international school, the finance have to be there, very expensive. And all those issues all will raise up. And sometimes it's heartbreaking to see that, just raising your kid in a different culture with, biracial features. So, I think every family will have their own issues, and just looking at your environment and just talking and just going through step by step. I think those are the key issues that every parents have to face. And about the school, let me just tell you about a school. We do have 13 different nationalities and mixture of all. We have a Nigerian Russian family, Russian American family, Indonesian Korean, Indian Korean, Pakistani Korean, you name it, we have it all in our school. Why do they attend our school? So kind of sad, but because of one reason, because the tuition is very low. They could attend, they could go to any school in Seoul, international school, but they cannot afford to. Many of our families are low-income families. So there's a student who just registered, and she comes from Ansan. That's a 3-hour subway ride. She just come all the way to Dongducheon. But she's willing to do that. She's an 11th grader from Russia, and she's willing to do that. And we have kids from Yangpyeong, Bucheon, there's a 2-hour, 30-minute subway ride coming all the way to Donggucheon just to get English education, American education. But the reason, we try to provide low tuition, as possible. So as a gentleman suggested, I think, and also my suggestion is maybe a family like us could come together to create some kind of institute, educational place there where our kids could, afford to attend some kind of good education institution with low tuition, with some government help. I think that's the future, a huge topic that we need to all discuss, because some of you will be facing very soon. Yes, there's a Korean school you could send, but also, as you mentioned, a private school is very expensive. Alternative school is also expensive. All those issues will rise up, and that the people who are faced with those kind of issues will stand strong and discuss and try to create some kind of an environment where we could educate our kids with good education, but affordable tuition. So that's kind of my suggestion, and I will talk about them more when the discussion time, question and answer time comes. So I will stop here for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to take a 10-minute break right now, okay? And then we're going to come back, and then any questions that you have for any of our speakers, we'll be fielding those and having a little more of a discussion, okay? So once more, we can have a big round of applause for all our wonderful